Alright, Chat Love Clark, I got a second. Now, I want to talk about this Scott guy in North Carolina, the martyr. Black Lives Matter martyr. Okay, here's one of the issues. Whether you like Black Lives Matter, whether you like the vessel, let's say, of the person, whether you are racially stirred up right now over all this stuff or not, is not the point. If they all had rights to have the guns, okay, in state of emergency situation, as other people stated, these police officers. Now think about it. Let's be honest. Even though we might not like Black Lives Matter because of the situations and whatnot, okay, but if he did not raise the weapon or intimidate with the weapon, point it with intent, then you know what? He had every right. He has every right to be a martyr. Okay? I'm not saying he is or isn't, but the fact that they will not release the police footage is bullshit. Why? What are they afraid of? Because if he didn't raise the gun, see, they're guilty by not releasing. What do you have to hide? Why would they hide it? That's what I don't understand. So, you know, there's a lot of people that don't agree or agree and will say, well, he had a gun. But here's the issue. If they're under a state of emergency, now let's think of it in white term, all right? And this was a white man that had every right, let's say a veteran even, that knows, you know, how to be responsible with the gun and everything. And he was not pointing it with intent. And he was shot, but we're supposed to have every right to have it. Does it make it a difference to you? Or be honest with yourself, white people, if it makes a difference. And you know, probably in your heart it does. Okay? So let's look at this as, okay, yes, there's all this controversy with it. But let's look at it this way. Didn't matter what color the person was. If he had every right, let's be honest about our rights. If he had every right to have that gun, in the midst of all this Black Lives Matter chaos, all right? But if he had every right at that moment to have that gun, and he did not appear to be intimidating, pointing the gun, and they have tasers and stuff like that, there's no reason that someone should be dead, because that sucks, you know, that if someone died from that, you know. Why won't they show the video? Or was it a fake death? Was it just another false flag? And people are picking up arms and arming themselves to the T, and all the shelves are pretty empty and bare. You know, all the guns are bought in record numbers. They're being bought up in Charlotte. So they are armed and they're ready. And here's the thing, though. All these people are getting armed and ready. All these Black Lives Matter. All these people that are so sick of the federal government and being shit on by and treated like shit by the officials and by the police and by the government and all these other things, so you feel like you're being shitted on and that they are just way overstepping their boundaries. You need to get off the Democratic side and step over to the Libertarian side. Okay? Because that will line up with what you want to do more than you will get with your democratical bullshit that they've been just pulling your strings for how many years? Since Martin Luther King, okay? It's ridiculous. They've been playing you, okay? But here's the thing. Anyone that knows the real true history of the South knows that the Confederate flag is a battle flag, and it means fuck off to the federal government. Excuse my language, but it means federal government, screw off. You're not taught the true history. They overemphasize the slavery issue and say that's the Civil War, main reason for the Civil War, and that's not true. It was economic, and it was the South telling the North, F off, you're not going to tell us how to live. We want to live how we want to live. Quit abusing us. Quit using us. Quit telling us what to do. Quit being hypocrites towards us. If you understood, you would be raising up your Confederate flag and get over the dumb shit and quit saying it's racist and put it up and understand like Peggy Hubbard, who understands what that flag means, okay? Without ignorance, she knows. You people should see, it was the Confederacy versus the federal government, okay? It wasn't, they could have cared less about abolishing slavery. Most black people should know that, but quit sitting on that. Most of the blacks that are in the South right now are rioting. They need to join. The South will rise again. Maybe not in the form that the white people expected. You know, but I think if they join up hand in hand, and I'm not trying to be a provocateur. I'm just stating. This is just my opinion, okay? If they join hand in hand, then it would be much better. But they won't. They won't do it. But here, a word of advice. If you guys would have stuck with, if we would have continued with the Confederacy, we wouldn't have the federal government breathing down our backs. And we probably have more free rights today than we do now if we would have stuck with the Confederate States and the way they wanted to run things, which was little government, no federal government telling us what to do. The states are their own nations, their own people, their own decisions is what happens in their states. You cross that border, that's your state. What happens there is between you and your people. See, we need to get back to that kind of governing. We don't need we don't need Big Brother over us. We don't need this shit. What has Big Brother got us? Nothing but hell, globalist bullshit, hellish wars, genocides, mass hysteria, Freemasonic fucking trickery, okay? It's time to recognize this is all rigged. Reality Plus, your Black Lives Matter, is a bullshit fucking thing. They want you to be pissed off. This is all trumped up shit. Pun not intended, but it's trumped up bullshit, okay? This is bullshit. It's bullshit for people to act this way. And no, I'm not a fan of the police department as much either, because yes, I have. Did I say? Oh, yes, I have been beat down by the police myself. And I am white too. Yes. Did I make that clear before in the past? I have been abused by the police department, and I am white. Okay, so it happens to everybody. A rainbow of people are abused by the police department. Okay, and not just physical, violent, like getting beat up, but raped. Okay, men being raped by the police, and then beat up, and then told, go tell somebody and see if they believe you. And you know what they'll do? They'll put you in the back of a wagon, and they'll take phone books, like a real thick phone book, and they'll put it on the outside of your body after they done raped you. Then they beat you up, and they'll put that on the outside of your body, and they beat you through that. And guess what? It causes internal pain, but they know how to do these little tricks where they don't leave marks on the outside. So you're all beat up on the inside because the phone book pads the outside, so you get an internal injury, and there's no mark. They know how to do this, okay? So they rape you and then beat you with the phone books, and then they tell you, cut you loose and tell you, go tell somebody. Go ahead and try to tell somebody, see if they believe you, okay? That's the situations I've been in with the police, all right? That I've seen and I've witnessed of other people, all right? And been part of it, okay? So, what we all need to do is recognize that this cops has overstepped their boundaries for a long time. But you also, like I said, go ahead and cut off all emergency aid to your little towns, your Black Lives Matter towns and stuff. Police, fire, ambulance. See what happens. You're not going to like digging holes for the bodies and burning the bodies in the streets, okay? So there is a balance that needs to be set. And here's the thing. The South and the Southern black people need to quit this mentality of you've been pushed and prodded into this. You know better. You should know better. Okay, this stuff is happening to everybody. Police abuse happens to all races, okay? It's not just blacks. But the problem, like I said, is, did this man have a right to have his gun? And if he did, and he did not show intent to shoot them, then they had no right to shoot him. It was a trigger-happy person, or someone who's not used to the martial law type status, or that law status that they had going on. State of emergency, everyone's able to be armed, and they're not used to that type of training. They're used to their old training, where they're like, oh, he's armed, shoot him if he doesn't comply, you know. So they had the right to be armed. So if he had the right to be armed, and he had no intent, and didn't show it, then why can't they show the videotape? Okay, I'm not for Black Lives Matter and all that shit, but I am for the truth. And if he had the right to have a gun, then why can't they show the videotape? If it shows that he did not intend, would it make a difference to you if he was white or black? And that's up to you to decide, alright? That Love Clark. Love you guys. Love.